What's good, everybody? We are casting a game for YouTube of a couple of our good old streamers that we see often. We got Shadewalkin playing his China over here in the teal. We got Welfare-payz over here on the French in the blue, and this is Theino in the orange on Sweetest Zeus, playing against, I believe it's members of the Czech community. We got Ervussus on purple playing the Abbasid, kkropiCZ on the English in the green, and finally HRE played by I'm just gonna call him Drah over here in the yellow. But we're just gonna check and see how this game ends up going. We're early on in it. It's Hill and Dale, and it is a 3v3 on the ranked ladder. So checking in on these early game kind of builds, early game spawns. We'll see what we got going on. Looks like Welfare already taken the deer. And not grabbing the survival techniques, although he could have been. Shade over here on the mill, as you should be from China early on. Grab that village and just sending some more over to this food. And then we got Theino on the Ottomans on the deer as well. So opting for that very aggressive early opening, not expecting pressure early on from the other side civs, as you know, they have the more aggressive civs. We have the French, we have the Ottomans. Those two you would expect to get units out early and be very aggressive with Royal Knights. Meanwhile, HRE usually wants to hit up that castle, get as many relics onto the map and in their control if they decide to go Regnants, or even if they go Burgrave, they love that extra gold generation. English looks like going with a quicker feudal age build, heavier onto the food and gold, so we'll be able to drop feudal age quite quickly, and let's see what they decide to do with that quicker feudal age. Abbasid, you'd expect to go with either trade wing, which is talked about a lot, especially with the positioning. They can get a really nice first trade return. You're able to get 3 traders that spawn right off the bat, and if your other side opponent isn't aggressive, isn't aware of those first 3 traders, their return, especially in team games, will be absolutely nuts. So talk about that as typical caster curse. We're not going to see trade wing. It's eco wing going up. Ooh, scout getting pretty close over there. I believe there it is. School of Cavalry down for Welfare, and a good amount of sheep haul from Shadewalkin. As China, you love to see the massive amount of sheep brought back, because this makes the Imperial official and this first mill that much more effective. Won't have to move out, won't have to leave yourself vulnerable. Ooh, Theino getting a little risky with the scout yet again. Looks like the chapel being built heavy with 9 vills on top of the chapel. Wants to get that down quite quickly. Usually with that many vills on the chapel, it's more of a 2TC HRE play, but by the vill split that I see now, I would not be expecting a 2TC at any point in time soon. Going up with the Eco Wing, it is a little bit different than the Eco Wing before. We have these Fertile Crescent upgrade, which reduces eco buildings and houses by 25%. Very effective. Fresh food stuff's now out of the town centers. Right as we say that, we already see Ervussus going over to the stone, so multiple TCs will be in the game plan. Feudal Age is starting to finish for some of these players. Imperial Academy got 3 vills on top of that. So China up to feudal. HRE already up to feudal, and we just heard the Abbasid as well. Ooh, Sultani Trade Network. So of all the people going up with a different landmark, it's actually the Ottomans going with the trade network. You're able to house traders inside this, but we might see a different plan coming out of Theino over here. Scout for Welfare, circling around. probably wants to focus in on the HRE early, but at the same time, Abbasid could be an early focus if you want to try to deny that first TC that gets placed, except he's going to have a lovely spot on the deer right next to the stone if he wants to just then secure the next TC if he wants to grab more stone and have a nice safe food location. Knights are in queue, none out yet at the 525 mark that I see, unless I'm blind over here. And Theino going over onto the stone as well. Are going to start pumping more of these military schools, just getting those free units. Speaking of multiple TCs, look like English has that game plan as well. Has finished up the council hall. Did he just finish that up, or did he get pulled? I couldn't tell. But going heavier onto the stone, onto the straggler trees from the start. And you can already see, based off of the resources in the bank, a lot of these players are planning on multiple TCs. In the meantime, Drah is gonna be going up soon to Castle Age. Just a few more drop-offs in the bank. Welfare, about to have his first night finally across the map, has taken him a few extra minutes than expected, and doesn't have a scout with it either, so don't really know where he is planning on going yet, unless he is just going to be going in blind. Ooh, first two traders are out for Theino. And speaking of going in blind, that's exactly what Welfare's doing. Hits one of the vills and is able to get the first pick. You might question, why did he get that extra bit of bonus damage? With that knight, they do get an extra bit of attack after they charge if you wait a little bit of timing. And looks like Welfare did it. Not sure if it was on purpose or on accident. Theino being very proactive, so not only has he set up this trade network, he has sent a vill down south, already has a market, and is walling the southern side corner up to secure up that trade line. On the opposite side, Drah is actually choosing to go with the Burgrave, has already walled, or is about to finish up walls on the eastern side, and the Knights for Welfare have found absolutely zero damage as they're burning a house that can be emergency repaired. Gonna drop these resources back down. That secondary TC for the Abbasid was exactly where I mentioned and expected it would be, and the third TC has been secured as well over on the gold mine. So Ervussus will be able to just start skyrocketing his villager count. But that is the same equivalency of what Shadewalkin has with 2 TC Song Dynasty. English has also dropped his secondary TC. Looks like Welfare decides to get away from the HRE, who finishes Castle Age, and decides he wants to start pressuring in on the English. Outpost attempting to be built. Again, vills brought back home. No damage able to be done yet. And Theino continuing to build up more and more walls to secure up the base. This is so key in Hill and Dale. If you secure up your base, you prevent anything like this happening, which is, you know, he might not be getting vill kills, but he is getting a ton of idle time. As I say that, vills are still just prime for the taking. And prime for the taking, Welfare chooses finally diving in onto those deer villagers, able to get a few more picks, and just nullifying this secondary TC's effect. Has another set of knights that spots out another group of vills, actually has his scout here with him. All right, we're just gonna focus on some other things for the time being. And that is Theino just continuing to boom up behind this, continuing to build more walls, more protection for himself. And Burgrave, I feel like just hasn't quite been utilized to its fullest effect. Doesn't really have a good amount of food generation. He's over on the berries, no food under the chapel, and he has housed himself as well. Welfare has. Oh, not Drah. I'm looking over here at Welfare. Has housed himself. And spears are just starting to mass all over the place for all of these players. Just spears after spears after spears. So these knights going to have to be very careful for where they choose to go. And Shade is choosing to help Theino complete the walls on his side. We're going to check in on some of these Vil counts. Welfare's 31 and 12. His teammate 42 and 1. So not really helping with the military yet. And neither is Theino with 41 and 5. Looks like the Knights for Welfare still circling around, has played this exceptionally well, as I don't believe he has lost any units. He's actually killed 10 units and lost 0. So really causing some damage early on and allowing his teammates to boom. Has Theino going up to Castle Age, is able to just continue to get free units out of the military school, and will get them out of the Imperial Armory as well. On the other side, we're going to continue this Vil graph going on. We got Drah at 33, but remember, he hit that faster castle timing. Hasn't yet secured any relics. Has another barrack, so has a ton of production as long as he can get the resources in behind that. kkropi, who's had 2 TCs for a while, 33 Vils, and that just shows the damage that Welfare caused, who is on 1 TC and still beating the villager count. Last but not least, we have Ervussus over here at 59 Vils already, skyrockets up, and has a good amount of military on the field with not only spears, but we even see a few camels into the mix. Welfare, though, still causing havoc with these knights. Looks like he has still not lost any at all, and the first relic finally picked up by one of the Czechs. Welfare, significant amount of knights because he hasn't really lost any. So keeping these nice, alive, and healthy. Walls still not fully filled up as Welfare needs to complete the full-on whole side of the map as Theino is about to finish this up. Traders, 387 gold. These babies are bringing back. He hasn't invested too heavy into the trade, but even just a few of these traders just pay off so much, as right now we're at the 12-minute mark. Theino is at 9 traders, each bringing back that amount, and will only keep climbing. Doesn't look like any damage will be coming down on those traders anytime soon either. As I say that, though, looks like the spear mass starting to come towards the front. Theino moving out with some of these imams, but needs to be careful as spotted out by Ervussus and will clear out the imam, but the villager escapes. And what is the plan of that villager? Welfare is walling up the eastern side, spears still ready, and Shadewalkin, Castle Age as well, starting to flood in his favorite unit, those palace guards. Will need to be careful as he only has a few, and there's a significant amount of these spears if Ervussus decides to take this fight. Relics being brought back in by both teams now, as Drah and Theino are both choosing to bring back the relics. Knights diving into spears. Finally, we see a bad fight taken by Welfare. Let the palace guards tank on in, and be careful with those knights, losing a couple more as those are so expensive to lose, and just fighting the spears that palace guards would have effectively cleared. Still only lost 4 total military units, so could be worse, and Welfare just continuing to climb up that military number, still continuing to climb with his knights. Has dropped a second TC himself that's starting to build up behind this, and Shade transitioning into the loved Chinese granaries. More and more spears, but this time by both sides. Theino has a couple archers into the mix, will help just a bit as that's the correct counter unit. Clash coming in, and the team of Shade, Welfare, and Theino look to clear up this mass and still keep their units alive. After this push, looks like Welfare wants to go do some raiding, but camels and more spears in return. He's not looking, needs to pull these units back away, group up with his team members, and really unify for a push together to cause some damage. Ervussus reaches Castle Age. That is a scary part because we talked about it earlier. He was the one with all the villager count. He was the one with not only the villager mass, but now the military mass as well. Upgrades should be coming through for Ervussus, and they are indeed tons of upgrades. Welfare, Shadewalkin pushing right towards this English player, dead at the front. English not usually the civ that you want to be pressuring though. Looks like the English player wanted to go ahead and offer some bills up for a sacrifice, just for an offering, hoping to give them the opportunity to choose another base, but that is not the idea. Shade and Welfare continuing to push forward, taking more fights, and while they're doing this, Theino still continuing to boom up with these traders, up to 15, dropping some farms and just skyrocketing his economy with relics to compound that effect as well. Ervussus playing out with that full counter knight army. He's got spears, he's got camels and crossbows, so we'll need to watch out, well, especially Welfare, who has only been making knights so far, just burning the houses of the English, tanking down this town center fire. Only has +1 ranged armor, but still able to tank this town center pretty effectively, not fully housed inside of this, and Shadewalkin just needs to continue to push to actually get to the eco behind this. Stuff kind of going on all over the place, but as this map, as this game continues to develop, you can see the eco starting to get more vulnerable. Multiple people starting to have to move out to different gold mines, and Theino knows this. He's already trying to prep an outpost and has this almost completed as 10 of Ervussus's villagers are pushing forward towards that way. Welfare doing a good job still circling around with his knights, but doesn't have a spot to escape, and Ervussus is closing in with his army. No realization yet from Theino. Outposts being built all around the map, so we're going to check in on the vision of each of these players. You can kind of see this is the team in the south side, able to get a decent amount of vision, decent amount of map control, whereas the people in the north, the Czech squad, they do not have any vision at all other than this short circle around their base. That's really it. And inside their base, there still is a grouping of knights causing annoyance and causing damage. Keep from Shadewalkin in the middle, gets denied, gets taken down, and all of the villagers go down with it. Has some palace guards trying to break into the economy in the east. Theino has upgraded the outpost on the gold, forces Ervussus away, gets a couple vill kills with it. You can tell Ervussus is really the one to be scared about. Has chosen to start up trade as well, so has a heavy focus on eco with triple TC, and he has some traders. Traders immediately getting taken out by Welfare, so not really getting the same effect as Theino over here with that 387 of pop that now has just continued to come in. Shade builds a little bit more of a conservative keep, although easily could have been denied as well if Ervussus decided to push, but instead just picking off some units, getting some more kills here, but not really doing damage to not doing damage to eco of Shades, but taking down the gold vills that are up front and forward of Welfare. Looks like he finally realizes going ahead and escaping with just a few vills left. Shadewalkin dives in his keep. Looks like Ervussus wants to push in the eco, just deciding to burn down this palisade gate of Shadewalkin, and the whole entire eco of the southern team is about to be exposed. Will they have the mass to defend this up? Shadewalkin has built granaries up front and forward right where the military mass is about to come through, and there isn't anything close to enough. Looks like a monk causes some distractions for just a second, makes the front military units taking a somewhat decent fight. Still some trades going on in the backside, but looks like Welfare has lost his whole group of knights, as well as a lot of eco to go with it. Purple pushing in with a ton of military, starting up his own trade behind this, and units just being trickled in. More farms being built on the front line, but a nest of bees. And there isn't a ton of good units to actually take down the nest of bees. This could be the holding unit. This could be the key point. First nest of bees firing in on those melee units. Immediately Ervussus decides to fall back a little bit, splits up his units into spread formation, will not allow the nest of bees to be as effective, but still causing good damage and forcing the units away from valuable eco. Theino has reached Imperial Age behind this, went up with the Seagate Castle, and look at these traders sprinting now. So not only are we going to see that massive trade ball, we're going to see it's even more efficient with the Seagate Castle bonuses. Welfare pulls his mass of 27 vills to build a keep in the midst of some of his production, which as the French will help him out a bit, and a good job by Shade, and mainly Shade here clearing up this raid at the base. The keep finishes, and not a ton of damage able to be coming down from Purple, who pushes forward with a bunch of villagers, 16 villagers, 2 mangonels. Oh my gosh, that's so disappointing. Purple just able to narrowly escape that. Looks like Shade moving, or Welfare moving forward with his 27 villagers after the keep has been dropped to maybe reclaim some gold and build some stone protective walls. Welfare sent some villagers up to the north, has started some trade himself. Looks like this little town center in the backside has done a good benefit for him, and went up with the guild hall to be able to give him some extra long-term eco. Ervussus, no, throws his villagers right up away. He thought he could build that keep, but again gets absolutely denied, drawing those horsemen into the Berkshire. They will not be able to deny that. Might be able to cause a little bit more eco damage. The key here, though, is they know right where the Berkshire has gone up and right where they can start being damaged if they get siege on out. More vills lost from more of those horsemen, as well as the sprinkled outposts from Theino, and these ecos starting to get more and more vulnerable, having to expand out on the map, whereas Theino does not have to expand out on the map with his trade that is much more efficient than a Goldville. Huge mass of yellow units, Theino triple nest of bees. Shade, don't do it to him. Absolutely destroys Yellow's army. Welfare sends his horsemen as just the frontline mass, and allowing Shade to absolutely crush everything in the path of these nest of bees. Kind of confused where Theino's been, and that's where Theino's been. Oh my, 3 great Bombards? What in the world? Has those 2 mangonels as well. Couple Janissaries, but the key right now is these nest of bees have provided so much damage, so much of a benefit. Looks like Drah has gone up to Imperial Age as well. We're about to check in on that landmark in just a second, as well as some of these other ones. Only a few more of those nest of bees alive, but there's mangonels in return, and they have easily paid off. It is the Palace of Swabia, but no villagers queued up. Drah, you need to utilize your landmark's effectiveness. Kropi has also gone up to Imperial Age with that Berkshire we saw front and forward, and Ervussus is Imperial Age as well. Team in the southern side, not Imperial Age, but they are pushing through with the military mass, and it looks like the team in the north has not really respected this military mass, is not reacting to this. More vills about to get taken down on this gold. Ervussus taking a ton of damage and losing that eco lead that he might have had. Nested Bees able to take out the rest of that. Chukanu and crossbows able to clear those few other units, but one of the Nested Bees goes down. Those 3 great Bombards make quick work of the Berkshire. No units housed inside of there yet. Oh, what? 3 more great Bombards. What is... And 4. It's just going to be a huge siege mass coming in from Theino. Absolutely just going to destroy everything in the path. And this is just, he's able to afford this. Look at these sprinting traders. You can see the normal ones. 1 movement speed, 1.4. These things are just freaking race cars over here. Theino able to support anything and everything he wants. We're about to show the, not the current resources. We're about to show the income per minute. Not actually as much as I expect. Welfare skyrocketed, but Theino has all of the income per minute in all of this, and resources in the bank is also the key. 5,400. He can pay for Imperial Age multiple times over. Bombards starting to move forward, and villagers with it going to be able to heal those up, although he can heal them up with Janissaries. Taking down keeps, taking down those defensive structures, but also will be effective in clearing up these units. Those other Bombards and 4 Mangonels able to come up and help it. Purple, watch out, purple! Ervussus! None of the siege has been set up. Oh my! Well, none of the siege was set up, but as you can see, once it got set up, it cleared every single unit in the path. Just needs a front line, just needs a safety net for this siege, and they will not be able to lose this game. Speaking of, both the Springolds for Ervussus left out front and forward. Great Bombards setting up. You can just see the AoE damage not only from the Great Bombards, but from the Mangonels as well. Looks like Theino has housed some units inside of there, so going to be that much more effective. And the northern side team started to lose absolutely everything. A couple Springolds trying to come forward to help, but at this point, their whole entire front line's gotten cleared. The Chukanus taking down all the Springolds as well from range. Eco on the front line is about to get absolutely shredded. Some horsemen circling around for Drah. Theino needs to watch out for his siege, and Shadewalkin is on hand. And not only Shadewalkin, Welfare is there as well, able to turn around, has those knights. Horsemen not able to fully surround that siege, not able to get as much damage as they would have wanted, maybe taking down 1 great Bombard. But in the meantime, those keeps immediately taken down. Camels and hand cannoneers pushing on forward, but just not going to be able to take down anything. Siege is very vulnerable. Units getting just massed in and waypointed in by either side. Keep taken down before it even goes up. Siege starting to fall back, resets back up, clears down all the units on the front side. And there's no gold able to come in from the northern side team, it looks like. So many great Bombards. I've never seen this many in a game just controlled by one person. All of Theino's population just going into siege, but that's all he needs as long as his team can be that front line. Couple Springolds, but a couple Springolds will not be enough. Looks like they were able to take down 1 more of the great Bombards. You can see how many shots it takes. Next one steps up, takes down those next couple Springolds. And now the range unit's starting to get focused, having to fall back even further. All the gold has been reclaimed, but still very vulnerable if any knights, horsemen, anything of the sort get thrown around. Looked like some stone walls and some more keeps are coming up by Kropy on the eastern side, but at the same time, Shadewalkin is creeping forward with his own stone walls. Theino, not only does he have the most expensive units on the map, he has the most resources on the map by an absolute mile. Able to just pay for anything and everything he wants. He should probably send some resources over here to Welfare, help him age up, help him get to Imperial Age, and support some extra knights for that front line. But hey, for the time being, Theino could be thinking of wonder resources soon, but instead is just dropping keeps and taking more of this map control forward. If they get on top of these gold units, gold villagers, the only way this northern team can actually support this is with this trade, but we only see it set up by Ervussus. 262 and 65 compared to the, what was it, 387 and sprinting traders on the other side. Oh, it's a red palace forward. Welfare going up to Imperial Age with the, oh, has to cancel it. Even though they have a huge mass, they decide not to. Oh, and he decides to drop it again. A little bit more conservative spot, but going for it. Siege starting to push up. Knights starting to push up. Shade already choosing to take the fight before his teammates decide to yet. Knights starting to step on forward, and there is more than enough siege behind this. The Great Bombard number is up to 11. The frontline mass getting cleared before we can even see it. Red Palace about halfway there. Great Bombards just splitting on where they want to attack, which is absolutely fine. You can see how much damage that AoE does. Units need to be split. Units need to spread out when they're trying to dive in, but they're diving in on the front line. They're diving in on attempted eco and not even getting close to the siege. Units in the north, there's 2 Springalds again. It takes so many shots out of those. Might have taken down 1, maybe 2 of these, and then right as they're spotted, then the Great Bombards step up. Gonna be able to just one-shot the keep. And the team in the north is in trouble. Looks like Shade and Welfare both got their masses cleaned up a little bit, but Theino, Great Bombard number, still at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What is going on? Horseman mass diving in, going towards the Great Bombards, but now there are multiple keeps. There are no boiling oil for Theino. Just decided to get it, but the Horsemen, they dive right under that Red Palace, and it still doesn't even matter. This AoE damage, they were able to get so many shots off. They have help on the backside with hand cannoneers as well. All of the units in the north just being thrown on away. In the meantime, Theino just pushing further and further forward. 10,000 food, 6,000 wood, 6,000 gold. He almost has wonder resources. What an absolute crazy unit in this game, just crushing everything in their path, starting to break through this front line, starting to deny this whole entire other side of the gold. You can see yellow and green trying to set up their own trade, but they are starting to set up this trade just a little too late, it seems. Welfare's Knights upgraded to Imperial Age. They are elite Royal Knights. Shade has transitioned to those hand cannoneers in the backside, which have the extra range from the Chinese. So really, really good unit composition coming in from the southern side team, and there's just nothing you can do when the Great Bombard number gets that big. Theino moving forward with yet another keep. Ervussus trying to push forward, trying to deny the keep, but just nothing he's going to be able to do. Hand cannoneers wiping down that whole entire front side, and same thing with the siege behind this. Welfare spots out a massive group of villagers and just kills every single one of those. We're going to go to the military numbers real quick. We can see Theino leading the path with those Great Bombards. Shadewalkin in second and Welfare in third for his team. Ervussus carrying the northern side. He has been the one with more and more of these units flowing in, but just not able to hold, not able to push through this mass. And at this point, it seems like it's a little too late. There's nothing North can do. Production being taken down, houses being taken down. It's all of green and yellow who builds siege in the front line. That needs to be safe and secure. Needed to have a ton of culverins out earlier. That might have been the only chance to help take down this mass, was get their front side and have the culverins try to snipe out all the Great Bombards, but not able to do it. Shadewalkin taking down some siege workshops with some hand cannoneers, but also the trickling units that come in from Ervussus. just killing every single one of these units as they run on in, just skyrocketing that military kill number. Meanwhile, Theino skyrocketing all of his building kills, just wiping. Look at the devastation in the path of these great bombards. Welfare doing a really good job of just keeping his knights as protection. You wouldn't think that the elite royal knights are the best protection, but hey, to pick your own poison, whatever works for you, and that is what that Welfare chooses. With the French, they are the strongest unit for them, but usually you want to use those knights for some raiding. Maybe could be denying this trade, maybe could be doing damage in the eco in the backside, but in the meantime, just making sure this siege stays alive. This is the win condition. Diving in on the backside siege units, and all the siege gets taken down. Welfare drops right back away, lets that reinforcing siege help him on out. Does not want to have any more of these units die than needed. More production being taken down. Welfare diving a little further forward with his knights, but doesn't want to get too far away, doesn't want to leave this siege in a precarious spot. Shadewalkin has come in with his own reinforcements, has decided to oh, he killed all the siege workshops and production on the front with his unit mass, and now the hand cannoneers, that is the good protecting units. This allows Welfare to push through with his siege, allows Welfare to do what the knights are meant to be doing, and allows Shade to be the reinforcements for the siege. Looks like English trying to push forward, has some trebuchets, has some men-at-arms, is quite scary, but look at the backside. Welfare has found the trade, has found the farms, and is crushing the economy. Gonna be so much harder to remass back up, and the front side, that siege is doing exactly what we expected it to. Anything that gets close will just get absolutely shredded. Spears trying to circle, men-at-arms trying to circle. Not even sure if any of these yellow units even got to take their torches to that siege. Purple diving in again, just very, very unsynchronized attacks. It's like one after another instead of a unified force, and that is what team games are all about. Team games all about that unified force, and you can see how effective it is here together with 15 great bombards up forward, every single one with a unit inside them to give that extra reload speed, extra setup speed, and move speed. And Welfare clearing all the trade on the backside, not allowing any gold to come into the bank, not allowing these farms to be utilized either by the English. And English has bigger problems than farming right now, has just all of his houses, all of his landmarks getting taken down before he can even blink. Siege is just doing way too much. Knights in the backside. The team in the north is struggling. Yellow, 106 population. Ervussus, 104. Kropy at 74. Meanwhile, we already know the team in the south, max pop, and max population, shredding everything in their path. It has to be game at any point in time, but the Czech squad in the north is trying to hold, trying to do everything they can. Landmark after landmark getting taken down. You can see the resources in the bank. Theino can buy a wonder easily, can drop a wonder at any point. Just hasn't lost these great bombards, so hasn't had to spend any resources really. Shade just mass of hand cannoneers, nothing even getting close to those either. So really just the spot that they want to find themselves in, they staying at range and just clearing anything that can try to get even close to them. Welfare diving in on these multiple backside armies, but those backside armies are not going to be able to clear his knight mass, much less get close to this great bombard mass. Ervussus, though, carry in the north side has forfeited. He realizes it is game over. So the one with the highest score given up. At this point, it is just a waiting game. Kropy has some of his villagers attacking with the short bows. Just at this point, he might know that he is out. Let's check his population. He's at 37, but he only has 20 housing total. So isn't able to even have any units pop out if he had the resources to do anything for it. Landmarks getting absolutely wiped. Only a few landmarks left of the HRE, and I'm not even sure if the HRE player ever even used his Swabia. All of the farms cleared yet again. The bird rate being taken down. It looks like one single landmark left to go, and that's the Palace of Swabia. Game is about to be over, but looks like the team in the south, they want to just add a little bit of extra gas to the fire. They want to cause a little bit more damage, a little bit more annoyance, dropping a few more keeps, burning a few more houses, finally spot out the Swabia and taking down the last landmark as a squad. Last landmark? The Berkshire has been rebuilt in the middle. So it is not the last landmark. And now the team, they're just, you know, shaking their head. Why are you doing this to us? Why are you delaying this game? You can see the units queued up out of the Berkshire, not able to pop out. As we know, there is no housing at all for the green, or for anyone, as a matter of fact, as it's basically just absolute devastation. Nightmass heading right towards that Berkshire. Looks like some crossbows want to be the first ones up to the plate to give it a shot, but I think they're going to need some more help than just that. They got their 2 damage out, 3 damage, and Nesta Bees starting to push forward, but look at Welfare. He has his Riders of Rohan headed straight towards the Berkshire. No boiling oil on top of it, just going to be able to circle around this and end the game finally. Shadewalkin, Welfare, and Theino. The trifecta together. Who could have guessed it? Just going to absolutely dominate. We hear some Wololos coming out. And it's not only just, again, fuel to the fire. What a game by the squad. 3v3, able to take the victory. Shadewalkin, Theino, and Welfare. I'll leave the links down below to each of their Twitches. Thanks everyone for checking in and watching this on Twitch as well as YouTube. If you're checking it out up there, feel free to comment, throw the sub button, and you know, make any jokes that you want about the great game we got to see.